Hey everybody, coming back at you out in the woods with another exciting video. Well, it was supposed to be exciting. I don't know how exciting it's going to be. I got tagged by Coy Dog Outdoors, okay? And I got tagged to do a video called Why I Love Bushcraft, okay? Now, naturally you would think that if I was going to talk about bushcraft and if I was going to tell you why I love bushcraft, that there'd be a lot of bushcrafty things in the video. But I have been reduced to drinking coffee made off a backpacker oven in a dry creek bed. The first scene that I showed you was what the creek looks like in one of the areas that I go to. Right now, because right now we're in a drought. We're in just the worst drought in Georgia's history, probably in the history of the South, maybe. Because I didn't know this, but we've gotten less than an inch of rain for 2016, and they're saying now that it's not going to rain until January. So there's a huge fire ban, no campfires. They're saying, like, for the month of September, there was a 113% increase in wildfires. So, no campfire for this video. I kind of stopped here for a minute so I could listen to the crows going crazy. They've actually calmed down. But anyway, just one more note on the drought, and then I won't say much more about it. I didn't know it, but the third worst level of drought is called a severe drought. The second worst is called an extreme drought. And the first worst of them all, the Mac Daddy of all droughts, is an exceptional drought. And that's what North Georgia and part of Alabama's in. And my friends over in Alabama have even said that for the first time in the history of Little River Canyon, the falls are dry. There's no water coming over the falls because the river's so low. And my friends up in the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, the park rangers have even said that in the time they've been keeping up with the water levels, the rivers up in the mountains are the lowest they've ever been since they've been recording them. So it's bad. So no campfires. And it's bad. I'd hate for my favorite months, November, December, for me to be resorted to. If I do any cooking videos, they're going to have to be in a backyard. And it's really bad because I've got like a backpackable super shelter, and when I test it, I won't be able to test it because there's a fire ban and everything's so dry. But with the wildfires going crazy, they're fighting them left and right. They were all last weekend. Like I said, I'm just going to have to be responsible like everybody else. So I got in my backpack, I got a backpacker's oven. So we're going to go sit in a dry creek bed and make coffee. But I am going to show you a little something. I'm going to show you what I originally planned, and I kept putting the video off waiting on rain, but it just hasn't rained. So let's go find the creek bed full of rocks and sit in it and make coffee. Well, what I walked through is pretty much where Beach Creek starts. And Beach Creek snakes pretty much from one end of the county to the other from where I live, and then dumps into the river. And I've never seen this creek dry. It's always been 6 inches to a foot deep, always. And then even when it's reduced to a trickle, there's some spots up there where it's got a really deep hole, and them deep holes, even though they're reduced to a trickle, those deep holes up there always have fish in them. And I went as far as I could and walked down, and those deep holes are now completely dry. There is no water here. I don't know what it's going to do to the future of this. I don't know what's going to happen, if there'll ever be any fish in here again. That's bad. This drought is terrible. So, once again, I know this is supposed to be a tag video about why I love bushcraft, but, you know, I'd heard about the drought, and I'd been warned about the drought, but I hadn't returned to this creek in a while, and this was one of my favorite creeks all along here. I used to camp all along this creek, and it's bone dry now. Everywhere I've gone, bone dry, no water, none whatsoever. So, all right, the next couple of months of videos, maybe they may be videos in my backyard, or if they're out here, there ain't gonna be no fire. Maybe it'll be time for some more do-it-yourself projects. Anyway, all right, enough rambling. I got my backpacker stove. I'm gonna drag it out and set it up and get it going, and then I guess we'll get into talking about bushcraft a little bit. And if I got time, I may show you. I brought a little device, and I may show you a neat little trick on how it's set up, with no fire, of course. All right, you are in the creek bed with me. We're kind of blocked from the wind. There's a nice rock right here. I'm gonna try to not move any of these rocks. I'm just gonna use this rock right here to set my stove on. And so, all right, I guess let's get to it. Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of coffee out in the wilderness, is there? Even if there is no water out there. Now, like I say, we're gonna be talking about why I love bushcraft, but you know something? This brings up the topic of if you were a survival guru or a survivalist and you got caught into a survival situation out here when there was no water like this, that simply means death, period. There's no getting around it. You can't live without water. And this is just a terrible thing. And you know, another thing, I haven't seen any snakes, any turtles, any frogs, and normally I see a pretty good bit out here along the creek, and I have seen none. I don't know where they're at. I hope they haven't all died. That'd be horrible. Alright, let me adjust this camera down to this rock here, and we'll start putting some stuff right here. Like a good solid rock right here. And what I'm doing is I'm going to move some of this stuff right here. Some of these things that are flammable, there was leaves all around it. So what I'm going to do right here is I got kind of clean some of that stuff off. Let's see what we got in the pack here. I think, let's see, I put my stainless steel coffee pot here. I got a couple of aluminum ones, or aluminium, or that shiny silver stuff. But I decided to bring the stainless steel one because I don't know how this backpacker oven will work with the aluminum one. See what we got here. Set this over here to the side. Alright, I think it's in here. Pull this thing out. Yeah. Okay, now this is what I was going to show you later. This thing is nicknamed the tripod disc. I'll show you later how it works. But I'm not going to use it, I'm just going to set it up. Look, there's my flint and steel kit that I wear around my neck. That was going to be for if I had a campfire, but it didn't rain. Alright, got a canister. Let's see. This is a Coleman Exponent backpacker stove. I think right there, I think that'll work right there. That seems to be pretty stable on this part of the rock here. So, let's pull this out. It's a neat little stove. I haven't hardly used it much. Put the instructions back in the box for in case I ever have to sell it. Alright, let's see now. You just screw it on here. This thing's self-sealing. It's got like a plunger inside it. So you can screw this and screw it on and unscrew it and it'll seal itself back up. Thing is you don't want to tighten up by the valve or the striker. Alright, let's set it back right here. And then these things here spread out. 4 of them. And then the coffee pot goes on top. Isn't that cool? Let me ease you up here just a little bit. Look, sun's already hitting it. Alright, now let's prepare this. I know this is going to be exciting. But I don't know, maybe this will answer a few questions, because people's asked questions about these percolators before in the past. Normally I will buy, or I will have coffee ground for a percolator, but you can actually use regular coffee, and you can honestly, you can use a filter in these things, believe it or not. Let's see it. Okay, where's it at? That's a cup. And here's another cup and a scooper. Alright, yeah, here's some of those. You can just use, believe it or not, you can use these little filters here. And it's actually, some people say that it's not the real deal Mac Daddy coffee unless you don't use a filter. But the thing is, there's no good surface to do this on. The thing is, it's better than home coffee, home brew, because with the home brew, the water just goes in through the filter one time and one time only. All right. So let's put that in there. This is 8 o'clock bean, 100% Colombian. So let's try some of this. Open this thing up. I hope this goes smooth. Alright, let's take and put in 3 scoops. 1, 2, and 3. Nah, 2.5 maybe. Let's go with that, because I'm not going to fill this thing all the way up. I originally planned on Nick coming along, but we just couldn't get out here, and he's back in school, so it's just me and him. Alright, now let's lift this out. I gotta go get my water. Where'd my water go? Huh, can't find my water. That's not good. Hold on a minute. There it is, it's right behind me. Alright, let's see, let's fill this up to, what is that? That looks like a 5-cup mark. Right there. Perfect. Good to go. There. Now, I think the cool thing about this little stove here, the cool thing about it is it's a self-igniting. It's got an igniter. You don't have to light it with a ferro rod or anything. So let's set this on. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera down low so I can show you how it gets lit. Alright, I got you down here where it's at. This thing is the igniter. So all you got to do is you got to cut on the gas. There it goes. And that is pretty much how you can make coffee extremely fast. Alright. That's going to sit there for a minute. And I think before I show you the other thing, we'll talk about why I love Bushcraft, because that's the whole idea behind the video. As you can see right there, the coffee is brewing. I love that sound. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the gas down just a little bit, because once you get it to where it's percolating, you don't need that amount of heat. You see, it's the same thing with a campfire. Whenever you're making campfire coffee like that, as soon as you see that percolating, you want to lift it up above the campfire a little bit, because once you get it hot enough to percolate, if you leave that same amount of heat on it, it's going to overflow. So I cut the heat down a little bit. I'm not real used to those backpacker ovens, but I'll use it. It's better than the alternative, which is staying at home. Dadgum, no matter where I go, the sun is getting me. I had the camera over here a minute ago, and I had to completely redo a scene because of it. Let me turn around over this was. I can't, the glare's always on me. And see, I got stripes all over my face now. There you go. Anyway, like I said, this is supposed to be a why I love bushcraft video, and I do love bushcraft. I mean, even the worst days of bushcrafting are better than the best days at work. I mean, here I am. I'm sitting in a dry creek bed talking to a camera with a backpacker oven percolating coffee, but you know, right now it's no other place I'd rather be, considering the circumstances. Now, a little bit about the why I love bushcraft. My dad always taught me there was a philosophy. He said no matter how sick you feel, no matter how tired you feel, no matter how lousy or lazy you feel, always accomplish at least one thing every day. Okay, that was his philosophy. He taught me that as a kid, so it stuck with me. So, years ago, I had the hobby of hot rods, cars, working on cars, fixing cars up, you know, painting them, building engines. Well, you know, that was supposed to be a hobby. That was supposed to be an escape from everyday life, but, you know, when you're a machinist and a welder and a fabricator and you're building hot rods also, and you're sanding and you're painting and you're doing work, it's almost like your hobby has become an extension of your job. And I had days where I would go out into the shop and I would start working on a car and something would go wrong with the air compressor, so then I'd have to fix it, and then I'd go over there and then I'd be like something bandsaw break, kept breaking bandsaw blades while I was trying to make a part for the car, and then I wound up working on a bandsaw, and so on, you know. It just, everything would go wrong, and then I'd wind up spending like 7 or 8 hours out in the shop and pretty much accomplishing nothing. And so that bothered me. And so that's why it was great that when those guys that I worked with got me into camping. And then the camping sort of morphed into a camping bushcraft, you know, survival games, you know, that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it just, with bushcraft, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be good at bushcraft. You just have to go and play in the woods. You have to practice it. Practice it in your backyard. Build a bow drill set. Build a hand drill set. Use it. Fail at it. Who cares? It's still relaxing. There's not supposed to be anything competitive about it. You know, you have those crazy shows on TV, those survival shows, where everything's a competition and backstabbing, and you got to do this and you got to do that, and drama, you know. Well, bushcrafting should be enjoyable. It should be fun. You know, get out with your kid, you know, build a TP frame, cover it with a tarp, build a shelter, you know, cook something over a campfire. Make fire with flint and steel or a ferro rod or hand drill, anything other than a natural lighter, and enjoy it. Enjoy the creativity. Enjoy the primitivity of it, you know. Try to weave a basket. And like I said, anything you do, you don't have to do a good job of it. Just do it and enjoy it, you know. And like I said, it's not work. That's why I love bushcraft. It's my time. I get to hang around out here. It's quiet out here in the woods, you know. There's no horns honking. There's nobody screaming and hollering. There's not people fighting. There's not loud music playing. It's nature. It's a very, very peaceful time. And, you know, I guess that sums it up in a nutshell. So, all right, I have hit 5 minutes on the camera there, so I think, and that thing's been percolating about 5 minutes, but that's what you want to do, you know. Lots of heat. Doesn't matter if it's a campfire or if it's a percolator. Lots of heat. Get it to where it's percolating in a little sight glass, and then you want to lower the heat so you can maintain the percolating, because this I have cut down on the heat, but it's still percolating. And I can promise you, if I'd have left that bad boy percolating on the same heat, that lid would be flapping and it would be pushing all the water out. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it down even lower, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to prepare the coffee. I've got a neat little trick that I'm going to try. All right, I'm looking at the percolator now. The percolator sight glass up there, the coffee is plenty good and brown. So I'm gonna cut the heat off. All right, because I don't want to over percolate it, because over percolating it will really, really screw it up. All right, so what we're gonna do now, give me a cup right here. All right, what I want to do is I want to do something that one time Morris Kohansky mentioned. That he said one time, look at that, stupid thorns. I hate thorns. They're even down in the creek. All right, one time Morris Kohansky had mentioned one time that he said his favorite additives are brown sugar and canned milk. And I've never tried it. And so the thought hit me. I thought, you know something? I think I'm going to do that on this video. So I'm going to try that. I think I got, oh, I hope I've got my opener. Let's see if it's down in the bottom. What have I got? Yeah, oh, I do have it. Okay. All right, yeah, I got something that I can open it with. Oh, and I want to show you these bracelets right here. I can't start a fire with them. But my friends Frank and Dorothy sent me a couple of survival bracelets, which are very cool because I've got some survival bracelets and I've seen the advances made in these things. Some of them that, you know, they have whistles built into them. Yeah, you got to blow on them a certain way. I don't want to disturb wildlife too much. But this thing, this is the most radical new design that I've seen. This thing, I thought, what is this? And it's actually got a scraper with a ferro rod. Isn't that cool? It's a small ferro rod, but if you have to, you could start a fire with it. So, yeah, Frank and Dorothy made them for me. Thank you so much. That is so cool. Makes me very happy. All right, back to this. Let's see here now. Get this out. Now, what I'm gonna do, that brown sugar has been in this backpack for about a week. So it's gotten kind of solid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, now with brown sugar, don't think I'm a sugaraholic, but with the brown sugar, it takes a lot more than it does regular sugar. So I'm gonna put about 1.5 spoons. Now I don't know why it does. Maybe because it just looks like a lot because it's so fluffy. So, all right. Now what I'm gonna do is, I think, I'm gonna pour the coffee in first and melt the brown sugar. This is one of those double wall cups with a carabiner that you can use for hiking. I got it at the Great Smoky Mountains National Park gift shop. All right, let's see what color this coffee is. Got it where you can see it. Oh yeah, that's the perfect color right there. Perfect color. Pour it in there. Alright, I'm going to set this up here. I got enough for a cup for the trip out of here. I'm going to stir it up a little bit. Go down to the bottom. Alright, all that brown sugar is done. Now I'm going to shake this very well. Now they've got a sweetened condensed milk and then they've got a evaporated milk. I'm pretty sure it's evaporated milk because this is like plain milk. The sweetened condensed milk is like, I don't know, it's like syrup. Alright, so let's see if I can open this thing up a little bit. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to open up this end. Oh, come on. And then I'm going to open up this end. You could think this is a boring video, but don't think of it as a boring video. Just think of it as spending time with Dave. Because sometimes when I'm not making a video, this is the kind of stuff that I do. You know, I just kind of just go out and make coffee. It's normally over a campfire. All right, let's put in some milk. And that should be enough. Where am I going to put this? Let's put it over here. There's a little flat spot. That should be enough for about 3 cups. Alright, don't fail me, Moors. I hope this is good. Let's see. Let's find a good dirty place to put my spoon. I see. Well, I'll just lay it right here on this rock. I got a little water left in my canteen. All right, let's ease up here and see how Dave likes his coffee. Oh, and I wore my my very expensive Bushcraft hat that my brother gave me, and I dressed very Bushcrafty instead of my psycho military surplus look. All right, let's try this coffee right here. If it ain't too hot, it doesn't burn my lips off. Wow, that's pretty good. You know, the milk just, you know, pretty much tastes like milk, but I think mixed with the brown sugar, it gives it a completely different flavor. That is surprising. Because normally with me, the first thing when I wake up in the morning, I have creamer and sugar for the first cup, maybe the second cup, and then the rest of the day I drink it black, you know. But this, so I'm used to what creamer and sugar tastes like, but brown sugar and milk, that's actually pretty cool. And you know, that's a handy way of carrying milk in a little can like that. I may have to try that more often. And brown sugar's fantastic in oatmeal. That's some good drinking right there. Man, this is such good coffee. Cheers. Hey, that'd make a good billboard. Drink more coffee. All right, I found some sticks. I didn't find good sticks, but I'm just going to throw this together real quick because I'm not actually going to use it. But I'm going to show you what the little disc is for. And like I said, my original intentions was I was going to use that and have a campfire and cook coffee with my hanging percolator. I got it hanging on my camera bag over there. So I'm just going to show you real quick on it, and I may use it again in the future. But like I said, they're not predicting any rain until January of 2017. That's horrible. That means we got another 2, possibly 3 months of no rain. So anyway, I hope I explained why I love Bushcraft so much. As soon as I show you this little setup here, I'll tag, I think, 3 or 4 people to do a video on why they love Bushcraft. I can't get enough of that. That's good coffee. All right, I've gathered up 3 sticks here, and what you want to do is they want to be in the neighborhood of neck to chin high. All right, and what I'm going to do is I broke these off, and what I'm going to do is now I'm going to saw them off to where they're reasonably flat, and they're all about the same height. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll probably set them on the ground and saw them off. I think this one's going to be about right. I don't know, I might could saw them off right here. Sometimes you have to stand up while you're sawing. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to saw the other 3 off, and then I'll show you how you're supposed to cut the ends of them. Got all 3 of them straight, so, and about the same length. So, put the old saw away. Let's see. Now, what we want to do, if these are straight, use this part. If these are straight, it's no big deal. But if they're at a curve, what you want to do is you want to take the part, I'm going to take the part on the outside of the curve, and I'm going to set it down right here. Hold on. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut straight down. This is kind of rotten, but you get the idea. And then you want to turn it 90 degrees and cut it. Now see, that's completely rotten. That's not going to work. Well, it'll work for what I'm showing. As long as one of them works, which is this one. This will work out perfect. Because things can't always be perfect out here. Alright, that's what you want right there. You're putting a square on one side, okay? That other one will work okay. This one's going to be too small, but it'll work. you'll get the basic idea. That's not bad. Here, I'm gonna try this one again. See if I can do that again. I don't think I can. I think this stick is too rotten. Nah, see, that stick just exploded. I should have stopped while I was ahead. But that's okay, I'll show you. You'll get the basic idea, because what I'm trying to show is anybody that had seen in one of my previous videos how I did a thing called a twist disc, and any of my other tripod attachments, like the mini keychain tripod attachments, the ends have to be sharp, and you stick them in the ground for stability, okay? I never could come up with a disc that you could just set on a hard surface and it would lock in, but this new disc I finally have. You don't have to sharpen the bottoms. It can just sit on a very hard surface. So I'm gonna whip it out and I'll show you how it works like this. Here's the disc, and what it is it's 2 round circles and 3 triangles. The three triangles is what stands for the tri part. And the fact that it makes a tripod is the tripod part. That's what makes it a tripod. And the way this works is the one good piece of wood. Now you could search around for better wood. I grabbed some rotten wood that was right here nearby just because I'm showing it. And right here, what it does is it locks in. And when you put pressure back on it, which is like pulling the leg back, that locks it in and you don't have to have a hole in the ground. So let me ease this down here to about here. Alright, so what you do is you got one in there, and then you got one in here, and then you got one in here. Now this is the one that was rotten right here, so it's I'm just having to kind of cram it up in there. See, my idea is I guess it's good that whenever you're not in a drought, you can have things like this. You can have things like this, and you don't have to have a backpacker stove because you can just use what nature supplies. All right, now and see what that does is you have these. This is rotten and this is too small, but this is perfect. All 3 should look like this. Okay, and then I'll show you how. Well, then you got to carve up a typical pot holding stick, which I know you've all seen. Now I know everybody has seen these pot holding sticks, so it's not that much of a deal for showing the carving of it. But basically, what you do is you can take a machete and you can just hack crossways and then carve everything out, or you can take a saw and saw it out like this. And there's your pot holding stick. You've got all of the ones up on the top for adjustments, and then you got the one on the bottom. Okay, let's put this up. Oh, this is my new Mora Eldris. It's pretty cool. It's a perfect neck knife. My friend sent it to me directly from Sweden because I don't think you can get them in America yet. It even comes with a ferro rod. Wrap that leather around, that's how you hold it. Pretty cool, but no ferro rods in this video because there's a burn ban. Alright, now back to this thing here. You got your pot hanging stick, so what you're going to do with it now is you're going to slide it down in through the hole, and see, it grabs hold on the center hole anywhere you want it to. Okay, and you'll have your fire down below. See, I brought my extra, I had my extra coffee pot hanging on my camera bag because I knew I at least wanted to show this to you. So you see, that's pretty cool right there. All you need is this little ring right here, and you can put it on like all 4 sides of this inner circle. Okay, and see, that's like when I'm first, like what I showed you with the backpacker oven. When I showed you with the backpacker oven, what I would do is I would have my pot down low like that over the fire, and then as it started percolating, I would start lifting it up. And as I lifted it up, you know, and then there at the end of the day, or at the end of the perk cycle, what I could do is I could lift it all the way up, and then you could see the amount of distance it would be above the fire. Ain't that neat? So don't let it ever be said that I didn't show you something new in every video. All right, time to tag some people. All right, I am tagging 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Okay, 4 people. Make a video, response video on why you love bushcraft. Okay, if you want to. If you don't want to, it's no big deal. It's just YouTube. All right, my friend Ulrika from her channel Gulrika. Okay, you're tagged. My friend Sty North, very cool old guy. You're tagged. Make a video why you love bushcraft. Wheels Gone Wild, a friend of mine that's just started making videos, I think maybe in the past year. Pretty new guy. And Lay's Own Ferns Bushcraft. Okay. Now, in closing, there's another friend of mine. I hope his contest ain't closed. Poor Man's Bushcraft. He's recently hit 500 subs. Congratulations, that's fantastic. And he's doing a giveaway contest. So go over to Poor Man's Bushcraft and check him out in his contest. So, like I said, I have no idea when I'm going to return to my campfires because we're in a drought. There may be a lot more do-it-yourself videos coming up. There may be some shelters with no fire. But I'll film what I can when I can, and I shall. See you in the next one.